Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, beta, today we are going to go ahead and begin with this important chapter. And this is about incomplete information. Very, very interesting, but at the same time, difficult. So, you have to go ahead and you have to listen to each and everything that I am saying today. First of all, what is the meaning of incomplete information? किस चीज को incomplete information बोलते हैं? Incomplete information basically goes ahead and basically assumes that one of the player doesn't have the entire information. Just for example, if I go ahead and I tell you that, can you tell me how costly it is to call police station? You will tell me, ma'am, I have never called. I don't know, right? So you have lack of information. Why? Because you have not gone ahead and done that thing. Another example, suppose I ask you that there is a pregnant lady, will she give birth to a male or a female, right? A boy or a girl? You will tell me, ma'am, we don't know, right? It is going to be nature. Nature is the determinant ultimately. Of course, science will tell chromosomes, whatever. So you have incomplete information till the baby is there with you, right? So incomplete information means lack of information. Okay. One of the player doesn't have the entire information. Now, usually speaking, I've just tried to combine this in one matrix. If you go ahead and have complete information and you have a simultaneous game, then what you define or what you get is called as a Nash equilibrium. If it is a complete information and a sequential game, then what we get, that was called beta as subgame perfect Nash equilibrium. If it is an incomplete information game and simultaneous game, what we get is called as Bayesian Nash. क्या बोला जाता है उसे? Bayesian Nash. And if you have incomplete information and sequential game, what you get is called as perfect Bayesian. In this class, I don't want to go and I don't want to find the Bayesian Nash or find the perfect Bayesian. निकालना नहीं है हमने. We don't want to find this out. In today's class, we just want to understand how to convert sequential incomplete games into a matrix form. Okay. So what we are going to learn today, beta? We are going to learn that we are given a sequential game. But this is with incomplete information. And we will understand how this can be converted into a matrix form. Into like this form. Into two-player form. ये हम आज की क्लास में सीखेंगे. This is what we are going to go ahead and learn. Another thing that I want to kind of focus on is this part. Okay. So there are, अच्छा ये थोड़ा, I'm just trying to give you a base to the chapter. Huh? Usually what books will do, they simply begin just explaining how to convert this into a matrix. But we need to understand some important basic information. पहले थोड़ा basic information समझना जरूरी होता है. So okay. So now there is something which is called as a screening game and something which is called as a sequential game. A screening game is a game where the uninformed player will move first. And a sequential game will be a game where the informed player will move first. तो ये भी देखना जरूरी है कि जो player first mover है, the player who is first mover, is he informed or is he uninformed? Overall game is uninformed game. मतलब कोई एक player के पास तो सारा information नहीं होगा. Overall game is an uninformed game, but we are trying to see whether the player who is moving first, does he have the entire information or not? That is what we are trying to go ahead and check here. Is this clear? उसी के basis पे we can have these two types of game. I will talk about screening also in some time. We will talk about what is screening and how screening works. उसके बारे में भी बात करेंगे, but not as of now. ठीक है. Now let us go ahead and let us try to consider an incomplete information game. In order to understand an incomplete information game, I just want to go ahead and I just want to kind of show you this game. So this is the game that we have. This is the game that I have made. Okay. Now try to understand this thing better. You see that there is an open circle here. This is the start of the game. This is the start of the game. Right? Why this is an open circle? Because at the start of the game, when we are just starting the game, it is a chance node. क्या बोल रहे हैं इसको? It is a chance node. What is a chance node? A chance node is any node where there is probability attached to different nodes. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल टिल नाउ व्हेनेवर वी वर मेकिंग अ सीक्वेंशियल गेम, हमने जब भी एक सीक्वेंशियल गेम बनाया तो इन अ सीक्वेंशियल गेम वी वर ऑलवेज गोइंग अहेड एंड वी वर ऑलवेज डूइंग समथिंग लाइक दिस बेटा. सो let me draw here. Usually in a sequential game we were doing like this. This is player 1. He can either enter the market or stay out. And if he enters the market, the player 2 can either fight or not fight. And then we were giving the payoffs. But whatever these players were doing, they were doing that with certainty. There was no uncertainty. These players were acting with full certainty. पूरा certainty के साथ act कर रहे थे. That is not what is happening here. हम कह रहे हैं कि इनमें जो ये nodes हैं, these nodes will have some probability attached to them. And since they will have some probability attached to them, इसीलिए ये एक open circle हो गया. That means this can happen with some probability and this can happen with some other probability. When you have probability attached to the two nodes, to the two branches, then this node is called as a chance node. Then this node is called as a chance node. Is this making some sense, everyone? Okay. So now, the next question that arises is, ma'am, why is it a chance node? Why are we saying that there is probability attached to it? So we are assuming that here there is the role of nature. Role of nature. जैसे मैंने आपको एक example दिया that in pregnancy we are uninformed. There is role of nature. We don't know whether there will be a girl or a boy. Same is the case here. We are assuming that the nature can go ahead and make a person friend or an enemy, right? So there is a role of nature, right? That with probability P, the nature is assigning it to be a friend. And with probability 1 minus P, the nature is assigning it to be an enemy. So when we look at one person, जब मैंने किसी एक बंदे को देखा, when I look at a person, I don't know whether he is a friend or an enemy. I am not informed of that, right? With some probability, the person is going to be a friend, and with some other probability, the person is going to be an enemy. So since I am not informed exactly about what the person is going to be, that is why we are going ahead and we are saying it to be a chance node. Is this making some sense? So now let's go back beta. Step 1 पे आओ. Step 1. Nature first determines the type of player, friend or enemy. So this is step 1, जहां पे nature ने बताया कि क्या कोई person friend होगा या वो person enemy होगा. Will the person be friend or enemy? Player 1 observes nature move, so he knows his identity. अब देखो ध्यान से जरा. So what is happening? That nature is assigning type to player 1. नेचर ने प्लेयर 1 को या फ्रेंड बनाया या एनिमी. ईदर नेचर मेड प्लेयर 1 फ्रेंड और एनिमी, राइट. प्लेयर 1, he knows whether he is friend or enemy. The person himself will know na, once he is assigned something. Once you assign me something, so suppose take it like a game जिसमें you remember that game that we used to play, राजा मंत्री चोर सिपाही. हाँ, उसमें क्या होता था, you would pick up a ticket, हाँ, and you would see what you are, whether you are the king or whether you are the thief. You would know that. हाँ, राजा मंत्री चोर सिपाही में आप क्या हो, आपको खुद को पता है. So you yourself know what you are, and you have 1/4 probability of being each of these. ठीक है. Other players don't know who you are. बाकी लोगों को नहीं पता कि आप कौन हो. Is that making sense? Same is here. Player 1 knows whether he is friend or he is enemy. He himself knows. But player 2 does not know who he is. Whether player 1 is a friend of his, क्या player 1 उसका दोस्त है, या क्या player 1 उसका enemy है. Player 2 is uninformed. So please come back here, beta. What we are saying, game where informed player is going first, that is called as a sequential game. जहां पे informed player पहले act करता है, उसको हम sequential game बोलते हैं. And here, nature is assigning the type to player 1. And here, player 1 is acting first. So, this is a sequential game. The informed player is acting first. तो जो इन्फॉर्म्ड है उसी को ही पहले हम वही पहले एक्ट कर रहा है, वही पहले काम कर रहा है, उसी का पहला नोड है. So therefore this is a sequential game. I hope this is making sense to you. Okay beta, now just see here. Player 1 observes the nature move, so he knows his identity. Friends keep desirable objects like jewelry and electronic gadgets. Enemy keep undesirable objects like rock and frogs. अब थोड़ा सा और समझने की कोशिश करो. Please try to understand this thing. We are saying that nature has assigned player 1 his category. अब player 1, depending on whether he is a friend or enemy, will have something with him. अगर तो नेचर ने प्लेयर 1 को फ्रेंड बनाया होगा तो उसके पास बहुत अच्छी ज्वेलरी, अच्छे अच्छे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गैजेट्स होंगे प्लेयर 2 के साथ शेयर करने के लिए. ही विल हैव गुड थिंग्स टू शेयर विद प्लेयर 2. बट इफ नेचर वुड हैव असाइंड प्लेयर 1 एज एन एनिमी, हाँ, तो देन ही विल हैव दीज अनडिजायरेबल थिंग्स टू गो अहेड एंड अफेक्ट नेगेटिवली प्लेयर 2. वो प्लेयर 2 को तंग करना चाहता है, राइट. ही गेट्स, because he's an enemy, he gets happy when he gives bad things to player 2. So he will have objects like rocks, like frog with him. Okay? So if player 1 is a friend, then he will have jewelry, gadgets with him. But if player 1 is an enemy, then he will have rocks and frogs with him. So player 2 को नहीं पता कि what player 1 is. So when player 1 will share his thing with player 2, abhi player 2 does not know what is in the wrapper. In the wrapper, is there a jewelry or gadget or rock or frog? Because he does not know what player 1 is. Is this clear? देखो यहाँ पे जरा. So this is nature. Nature has assigned player 1 friend or player 1 enemy. So player 1 has become friend. So this is 1F. 1F means player 1 acting as a friend. And beta 1E. 1E means player 1 acting as an enemy. अब ये हो गया, इतना पार्ट हो गया. Now player 1 has to give a gift to player 2. In that gift, you can have rock also, frog also, jewelry also, electronic gadget also. Anything can be there in the gift. But player 2 has two options. Either he will go ahead and accept the gift, or he will go ahead and he will say, "Na, na, 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 I don't want the gift." So when player 1, if he shares gift, then player 2 will have two options, either accept or reject. यहाँ पे player 1 is an enemy. If he shares gift, again player 2 will have two options, either accept or reject. And player 1 has an option of not sharing the gift, not giving the gift. That is this. तो game ही over हो गया. There is no action to be taken by player 2. So this is not sharing. Not sharing. So if player 1 is sharing the gift, अगर वो offer करता है, he is offering the gift कि please take this gift. तो player 2 has to now think कि अच्छा ये gift तो दे रहा है, he is giving the gift. Is he my enemy or is he my friend? He has to go ahead and think of this. ठीक है? He doesn't know. There is uninformed decision. There is a lack of information. And he has to then decide whether to accept or reject. Now let's go ahead and let us look at the payoffs. So look at the first payoff beta. This is 1, 1. This is when player 1 is a friend. He gives a gift to player 2 and player 2 accepts. So player 1 is a friend. वो बहुत खुश है कि मेरे दोस्त ने मेरे से gift लिया. So player 1 also gets a positive payoff and 2 also gets a positive payoff. But if player 2 rejects, then player 1 becomes unhappy. Ki, I brought a jewelry for my friend and he's not taking this jewelry. So he gets a negative payoff and player 2 doesn't get any payoff at all. If player 1 is enemy and he shares the gift and player 2 accepts, क्योंकि उसे तो नहीं पता कि वो enemy है, he accepts, then of course because player 2 has got a frog, a rock, तो उसको negative payoff मिलेगा. और player 1 enemy था तो वो बहुत खुश हो गया. He's very happy by harming the other player because he was the enemy now. So he is very happy. बहुत खुश है दूसरे player को harm करके. He gets positive payoff. And if he rejects, then he is unhappy कि अरे मुझे तो उसको नुकसान पहुंचाना था. I had to harm the other player, but he didn't take the gift. So he gets a negative payoff. These are the different payoffs that you have in this case. Now we cannot solve this game directly using subgame perfect Nash. मैं यहाँ पर just इस game को एक subgame नहीं मान सकती हूँ. We cannot consider this to be a subgame perfect Nash. To be subgame. Why we cannot consider this to be a subgame, beta? We cannot consider this to be a subgame because this is with probabilities. These nodes are with probabilities. And these dotted lines represent the fact that player 2 is in dark. He doesn't know. There is uninformed thing. He doesn't know कि player 1 friend है या enemy. Right? So we cannot solve this by subgame perfect Nash. Right? Therefore, we need to go ahead and we need to make a matrix. हमें क्या करना? This is all the story, beta. What we need to do is we need to go ahead and we need to make a matrix. Okay? And that matrix, now I'm going to teach you how to make this matrix. ये पूरा का पूरा ये story, I will just share these notes with you. You will have access to this story that I just explained. Okay? Now let us directly go ahead and try to understand how to make this box from these notes. Is this part clear as of now? जो भी हमने story बोला है